Welcome to the SNI Podcast. With deep roots in the Canadian regulatory landscape, SNI has helped hundreds of companies get on the shelf quickly and compliantly so that they can sell more and grow their brands. On this show, you'll hear stories from SNI's clients, plus the team's insights on how to overcome their biggest compliance issues and create a standout brand in the food and natural wellness space. The SNI Podcast is your source for market compliance. Now, on to the episode.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the SNI Podcast. Today, I'm joined by Elena Gomez Haro, the research manager at Prairie Research Kitchen here in Winnipeg. Also joining us is SNI's Associate Director of Creative Services, Christel Koop. Today, we're going to talk about the Prairie Research Kitchen. We're going to talk about how they assist with research and development of food products, really building on food innovation within our province, and how they can have funding to support and really just help clients get to the market, bring new ideas. I'm really interested to hear from Elena today, and thank you for joining us.
Of course. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure for me to be here. I think this is a great opportunity to get to know SNI. Also, SNI listeners, thank you for listening, but then also for us to portray what we can do and how we can support the province's economy.
Yeah, so why don't you talk a bit about Prairie Research Kitchen, what they do, and what you do there.
Yeah, of course. So let's start off by saying that we're a fantastic team. I really like it. It is a team that is very unique. So what we do is we support small and medium-sized enterprises and also large enterprises with their product development. But we elevate it a little bit because we have chefs in-house. So pretty much our team is composed by both chefs by trade and food scientists. So we combine the best of the two arts and sciences to develop new products for clients, either new products, new technologies, or prototypes, proof of concept. But we also do some training for our clients. And while doing all these, we also tap into the resources of the college, and we also support the upcoming workforce for the province because we work with students as well.
Ah, that's really fascinating. Yeah. What got you into it?
So my bachelor's is in food chemistry, and then I did my master's in food science. So I've always been kind of very amazed by different processes and technologies. And for me, I don't know how people in the first place thought of how to make bread or how to make beer or something like that. It's like if you just kind of mash potatoes or mash tomatoes, and sure, you have a pasta or you have a tomato paste or something. But making something that is more elaborate to me is fascinating. So then that's kind of personally got into that. But then I realized that there is a world out there and there is the industry. And I always worked for the food industry. I worked in PepsiCo, Mexico. I worked in Prairie West Ice Cream here. I worked for the University of Manitoba, for different places. And my whole world, it was pretty much closer to food science. And then I came across the Prairie Research Kitchen and School of Culinary Arts at the Prairie College. And in there, I realized that there is a lot of art to it and many other processes. They have food processes. There is also a certain level of art to it and feeling. And with the chef's experience, it's fascinating what they can create. So that's how I came across to it. And in your previous questions, you asked what exactly I do at the Prairie Research Kitchen. So as a research manager, I'm in charge of different areas and parts. And one of the things is to lead a team into developing or providing solutions for clients' challenges. So I connect clients, I look for different clients, either former or new clients. So I go to different events, so I do the business development part. And then once we get a client, we explain our services and we map out a project for the client, depending on what their needs are. So what I do is I support different clients and my team to come to the final solution for their clients' challenges. So it could be something that is more like office work, like market scans or project proposals with milestones for specific lead reviews or lead searches or things that are more literacy oriented. And then the other part, it also has to do with, or more research oriented. And then the other part is to actually do the applied research in the kitchen and in the labs.
Right.
So, and that's what the support from the chefs and our lab technician comes into place. So together with mixing all our skills, then as project manager, I lead the team into overcome that challenge and create different solutions for the client.
Wow, that sounds like the perfect recipe.
Thank you.
Yeah. So on one side, we have, building up food products within the province, right? The clients are looking to, maybe they have something innovative and want to expand on it. And then kind of the other side of PRK or Prairie Research Kitchen is training culinary professionals, right? Helping with their courses. From what I understand, like there'd be instructors that would lead maybe any of the initiatives there. So kind of two sides. And yeah, I think that's really interesting. I think that's pretty unique. If you could talk a bit more about how that came to be, like why is there such a synergy there, and how that works well for your clients.
We exist as part of a Natural Sciences and Engineering Research Council or NSERC grant for creating a technology access center at the college. So the college, Red River College, has 3 technology access centers. What these are is kind of like a bridge in between the community and the expertise at the college. So we started like that with that grant, and then we've been evolving into the Technology Access Center grants or TAC grant or Tech Access Canada grant. And then we also have different clients that come to us as a fee for research. So while creating this idea, then Mavis McRae, our director, is the one who said, okay, we have the School of Culinary Arts here, and this is a fantastic place for creating new chefs and so on. So and we have a need out there for product development and for the industry to pretty much add value to their products, either from like their crops or ingredients or products are already out there but need a little bit of a pizzazz or upgrading or updating or making sure they're shelf stable or something else. So then we support with different parts and said, okay, we have the chefs, we have the food scientists, let's put them all together. And this is called culinology. This is pretty common in the US. So in Canada, it's not that common, but we're trying, throughout the world, this trend is increasing. And I think it's just a very nice and good mix for developing something that's creative and it tastes good, it looks good, but then it's also safe to consume. It can be on the shelves, it's stable, and so on.
Yeah, it makes sense. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, we can have, a good idea in theory and taste good, but you do need that extra step of safety. You need the food science understanding to be able to actually make a product that can be shelf stable, not make anyone sick. Like food safety is a big side, of course.
Mm-hmm. Correct. Yes.
I'd like to talk a bit more about PRK's capabilities. I know you kind of mentioned more the research side and doing kind of almost the desk research, and then the other side being the actual, working on the food products.
Yes.
So a client comes to you and just, asks that, like, what can you do to help me? I have a product that I want to make and I want to bring it to market. How can you help?
So there is different, and we have all sorts of clients that, so the first thing is to understand what exactly a client needs are. And it starts with who is your target. Many people come to us and say, I have the product, but I don't have the target. So usually what comes first, either the chicken or the egg? I would say consumer product development is the basis for the success of a product. Some other people might say product development is the basis for successful product development, because the technology obviously is a huge piece on it, and your ingredients and so on, it's a huge piece of not just success, but also the capabilities that your company would have. So either way, we try to see what is a target out there for this product, because based on that, then there will be different characteristics. Like it's not the same if you tell me I want a fun product, for example. What does fun taste like? How does it look like it? Is it crunchy? Is it soft? Well, that would depend on who your target is. It's very different for a child than it's for an adult or for an elder, different things. So let's say, we try to kind of focus or guide the client to understanding more about their product, the why behind, the how, the what is it. And so depending on the client, sometimes they already have a target, they already have a specific product, they already have an idea that it's fully developed in their minds. So we support them with the creation of actual prototypes to make sure that proof of concept is actually correct, right? Because you can say, okay, I want something that it's low in fat, low in or high in protein, low in carbs, low in sugar, low in this, low in that, gluten-free, blah, blah. And then at the end it's well, maybe we just add whey powder to water. And then that's pretty much it. It's kind of if you have all these requirements, they might not pan out in a finished product. Mm-hmm. Or the opposite, they might be a fantastic solution. So what we try to do is with that idea, we go into the kitchen, give it some trials, and it's just kind of rapid prototyping, proof of concept kind of thing, and see, okay, does it work? it actually works or it doesn't, and then we funnel it down to the winning product. So that's one part. The other part could be like, you know what, I have this issue, I produce these, but I want to increase productivity or reduce costs, and I want to substitute ingredients, or I want to, make sure that I'm not certain if I'm reaching the targets, or I'm seeing that there is a microbial growth over time. So can you help me reduce that? But I want to use either natural preservatives. So we say, okay, yes, maybe you have identified that with a preservative you can do this, but how about with processes? So there is different solutions that we can think about. And then we have other types of clients that are like, I just want a recipe. Like I want to, I have this ingredient, let's say margarine or butter, and I want to apply these into different ideas, different recipes that are not for sell out on the shelves, but just for consumers to try. So it's okay, well then that's a perfect match for our chefs, and they go and say, or our culinary experts, and they can create something that it's, in my mind, I would say, okay, scrambled eggs, and they would like, this is a frittata, Italian style, blah, blah, like it's under frittata bites. And it's like, oh, okay, well, that sounds fantastic.
Right.
As a food scientist, maybe I'd never thought of that, just because they're much more creative. So it depends on the client. What I'm trying to say is we customize the solutions to the client. Each project is different. We just know our capabilities and try to apply them. So we do product development, technology development. We also do photography. We also do estimated nutrition facts tables. We can also do process adjustments. We do training as well. If they want, we had a client that we help them develop a specific product, and then they gave it a try in community center kitchen, and it was great. But then they said, you know what, it's splitting. Like when you gave me my product, it wasn't splitting, and now it's splitting. What do I do? And it was really pretty much using almost the same pieces of equipment, because in our labs we have one demo kitchen that has pretty much what you can find in any commercial kitchen, like large commercial kitchen or community center kitchen or in a fine restaurant and so on. So it's easy for our clients to replicate what we do. So they did, and it didn't work. So what we did is we trained them into saying, okay, there is specific ordering where you have to add the ingredients. You have to put all the dry ingredients together, and then you mix it with the wet ones, and then you make sure this is at certain temperature and at certain speed and so on. So walking them through the whole process, it actually helped them, because then at the end of the day, they said, we didn't realize about that. And when they did it, they said, it's not a splitting anymore. Yeah. So it could also be training as well. And the way we engage students as well, and you mentioned that, Leanne, year before, it was sometimes we do work with instructors, sometimes we don't, like the students are supervised by us, but if we need to tap into the college's resources and know the expertise, or pick the brain of the different instructors, could be chefs, could be from life sciences, could be biologists, could be any type of instructor, marketing instructors, whomever, we can always tap into those resources and find that support. And with us supervising students, then we just complement what is needed for that specific project.
Oh, it reminds me of like a kitchen playground, but that's measured,
Yes. Yes.
It seems like really beneficial in so many ways for all kinds of product development. Like I would have a blast, I'm sure.
It is. And it's really, I think when you go walk into the kitchen and there is several projects going at the same time, it's like, it's exactly like a playground.
Yeah.
And I think you don't know what the outcome is going to be. You can sort of predict it, but at the same time, with that extra pizzazz that our experts add into their products or into their creations, it's like, well, I never imagined it was going to be like this. Like, just a simple example, we worked in a product that needed ginger. And in my mind, it was like, okay, well, powdered ginger, like just pretty much because it's more stable, because you get it, like you can buy it bulk, it's not a problem, and so on.
Consistent.
It's more consistent.
Yeah.
It's more, for this particular project, we didn't need that consistency, but we needed the extra addition of flavor. It was something I was going to consume right away. So we needed for it to be obviously like stable enough for it to last a week or 2 weeks, but not longer than that. We needed the consistency to make sure that the flavor was fine and the weight of the ingredient was fine. But other than that, it was no more requirements. And then one of our experts used fresh ginger, and it turned out to be like the flavor experience was different. And I was like, oh, well, I guess it makes sense because it's fresh. And yes, there is no extra requirements. But in my mind, it's like, okay, just go to specific suppliers for ingredients. Well, there is obviously the supermarket. And if it's fresh, seasoned for this or for that, then you can get that extra part. So it is like a playground.
Yeah.
Yes.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's nice to see all the different minds coming together. There's
Yes.
like the science side, the creative side. Like, I mean, we talk about that too
Yeah.
with our industry. It makes for a better outcome, really.
Correct.
Being a part of Red River College, is the Prairie Research Kitchen able to offer some unique funding opportunities for your clients?
Yes. So as part of the college, we pretty much our facilities is we're at the 11th floor of 504 Main Street, just next to the City Hall in Winnipeg. It's a beautiful facility. We have 3 main labs, which is the demo kitchen. We call it the R&D lab, but it's both of them are R&D labs really, and the analytical testing lab. So our facility space is limited as everywhere else, right? But having access to the college resources, we can use also other pieces of equipment, other lab spaces, other facilities as well. We have one specific room that we can do scale up for salsas, sauces, soups, those kind of things that are liquid. We have piston fillers, so we can just kind of like package it. But other than that, being part of the college gives us access to those facilities. So in a way, it's not a grant, but it gives us access to many other technologies that usually in one other stop you cannot do, like in many other places. So, and also all for the same sort of price. Like just engage with us, and we don't charge extra for those facilities by any means. So that's part of it. We also work like if there is no funding available for the client, then we go for a fee for research or fee for service project, and depending on the client, we can give some of our facility fees in kind, regardless of which facilities we use. So that's part of like not funding but support to the client. And then in terms of specific funding, then there is different clients are eligible for different programs, federal programs or for provincial programs. So depending on the type of client and their characteristics, we can connect them with these entities. And then there is one, for example, there is one program that is called the Tech Access Canada Interactive Visit Program. As a college and as a technology access center, we have access to it. So in this case, it's 20 hours of our time, and pretty much the client just pays the access fee, which is $250. And that is a fantastic opportunity. There is also a contribution to organization. We can also support them to get applied research and development grants. And if they get grants from any other institutions, we can use them or they can use them with us, and then we can just complete the work, give them the results. We don't hold the intellectual property for any of their projects, which is something very good for the clients.
It's interesting.
It's it is interesting. And the more I learn about it, the more I realize that we are unique in that way as well, because many times when when clients partner up with other institutions, it's kind of like a collaboration effort in where someone, like there is always something legal behind of saying we hold this part of the project. We don't. It's a project, like the project belongs to the client. We do keep the records just for our own records and for having like a second, like backup for that project. But pretty much it all belongs to the client. So that as well. So it's not, I would say, yes, we have different funding opportunities or we're eligible for certain types of funding, but it's mainly we support the client with the funding, with knowing there's their project. If not, then we can do some in-kind discounts and things like that. So we think of it as collaborations. I refer often as clients, but it's very much like a partnership kind of thing.
Absolutely.
And we have clients come back, right? So that's really good, and that's pretty much. Even though we don't hold the IP, every project is confidential, and we care for every single client. It's like specific tailored answers for each client. So at the end of the day, that brings us back new clients, word of mouth, or just old clients come back.
Absolutely.
Or former clients.
That's like so important to the industry. I mean, you think about all the challenges that they face, and they have to go through so many loopholes and find so many resources everywhere. The fact that it's so efficient to have it right there, even if they don't have the funding, like it's easy for them to get to the resources at the college, and then you're supporting the industry by supporting an educational organization like that. That's really cool. Yeah.
Key. And we can also connect them with people that we know can do the work. If we cannot, then we say, like we know about this one, like these resources, or we can know about these funding entities. And that's a very hard thing I was just recently in a symposium, and one need that was identified is that people don't know about all the resources that are out there. And it's very hard, even for us, even for me. I keep on learning about new funding opportunities. But then at the end of the day, if we cannot do the job, or we cannot fund them, then it's kind of okay, just, we know about these resources, go and check them out.
Yeah, I mean, we can tell that you have a lot of passion for what you do, and it obviously shows in your work. And I'm sure that your clients really appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you.
So are there any other collaborations between PRK, Red River College, obviously, and other, maybe Manitoba areas like University of Manitoba, Richardson Center? Any other collaborations there?
Yes, there is. We try to, so the food ecosystem in Manitoba, as well as in Canada, is sort of small but big at the same time. So each of us have different strengths, but we all of us know each other. So we try to collaborate with them as much as possible. A recent example would be our participation last week in the 2024 Manitoba Sustainable Protein Symposium. And for that, we presented a collaborative work with the Richardson Center for Food Technology and Research and the Manitoba Food Development Center. So in that, what we did is they obtained part of it is to try to elevate and give more solutions for local crops. So for white pea beans and chickpeas, they developed the technology to extract the protein in them. And it was the Richardson Center did the dry extraction of the protein. So they obtained a protein concentrate. And then the Food Development Center did did a wet extraction out of that. So at the end, it was different types, all of them protein concentrates, but with different characteristics. And we did the application of it. So we tried out those protein concentrates into 3 different applications. One was frittata bites, the other one was scrambled eggs, and the other one was vegan custard. So in that vegan custard, and what we tried to replace eggs with proteins. So try to see if these proteins would get that functionality and see if it worked out or not. So pretty much we found, we presented our results at this symposium, and it was just the interesting part it was a full collaboration. So each center has its own capabilities and its own strengths. And this particular part of the Richardson Center that we worked with, they specialize in dry milling. So it was kind of pretty much they provide us with the flour. They did the different types of milling they can do. They classified it, Eric classified it. They obtained the best samples that they thought were going to have the best functionality as an egg replacer. And then the Food Development Center did the wet extraction and gave us prototypes of what they thought could be the best prototype for that. And then it's yes, you have all these ingredients, but then how do you apply them? And that's when pretty much our culinary experts came up with the idea of saying, well, there is these 3 products. So as I said, for me, it was a scrambled egg. For them, it's vegan custard. And
right, binding properties. Or,
of course,
yes. Yeah. There's endless possibilities in that sector of the food industry, I think, right now. And we have the agriculture kind of industry really local here. So it probably helps a lot. Supports the industry, if anything.
Correct. And sometimes you just need that proof of concept. You can go down the product development route for it's a very long process. Usually depending on the type of innovation they want to create, but it could take anything from 6 months to 5 years, right? So if you streamline it in a way, depending on obviously the level that you need, the level of innovation you need, if you can stream it by just giving a try in the kitchen.
So I'd like to talk a bit about this book that you brought, From Lab to Table, Research and Recipes. Can you tell us a little bit about it? What does it include?
Yes. So before telling what it includes, I would like to invite everybody to take a look at it. So pretty much you can have access to this online, and the address is researchrecipes.ca, and then you had access to the whole book. So Pretty much at the beginning, it just tells you the introduction of how we came to be, and that will explain a little bit of how we decided, or maybe decided to, or found this great opportunity of blending both strengths, like both parts of food science and culinary arts, into what is now the Prairie Research Kitchen, the funding we have for that, all that history, and also how we moved into these gorgeous and beautiful facilities that the college has. And then we talk about capacity building projects. So at the beginning, pretty much, it's almost like this is a chronological sort of story, or it's our story of how we came to be to what we are right now. So we started with building our own capacity, not only into like technical capabilities, but also like our facilities, and also engaging with new clients, engaging with different organizations, and so on. So we talk about that. We talk about different projects, and embedded into all these projects, there is recipes that came out of it. And then, so that's how we came up with all these 60 plus recipes that you will see all throughout. But it's not just a recipe cookbook when you would see recipes and that's it. It's our story. So then all of these recipes are client recipes, but they have given their full consent to be here and to be portrayed. And as I mentioned, we do collaborations with them, but we also respect their confidentiality. So in this case, everything is kind of like open for them to share with the world. Then we talk about specific client projects, and we have clients all throughout Canada. Most of our clients are in the prairies, but we have clients from different parts of Canada. So we have different types of recipes. We have engaged with the industry. Some of our major clients are Prairie Fava, Juno Food Labs. We did a project with Ground Up Eco Ventures, which is focused more on sustainability and using spent coffee grains to develop a new product.
Cool.
Yeah, that was really cool. Then we also worked with Big Mountain Foods. We worked with the Richardson Food and Ingredients. You'll love it. So different clients and different projects. Some of them very, very focused on sustainability. Some others focus on, okay, I have this ingredient. What do I do with it? And some of the ingredients could be, as I mentioned, butter, but some of the ingredients could be protein, or it could be flours. And it's like, okay, well, flours is endless. Yes, usually it's endless when you talk about wheat flour. But what about if you have fava flour?
Right.
So then we did different trials, different things, and so on. Prairie Cricket Farms is one other one of our clients, and trying to find applications for cricket powder, which is really interesting, because most times people will be like, what do you mean by crickets?
Right.
And it's like, oh, it's fantastic.
It tastes great.
It tastes like it has a lot of protein.
Yeah.
If you add it into something that is well known by you and by consumers, it's not like a cricket staring back at you. You know,
right.
Like it's not like it's chirping at you or anything like that. It's actually like it could be a very good ingredient. So that's what we kind of like do. And then the other part of the book is our Indigenous engagement. So the college is quite committed to these, to truth and reconciliation. We are as well, and also to bring the Indigenous worldview to our table, pretty much. So we work with ingredients. We work with the School of Indigenous Education. We have students coming with us every year, and then we try to develop new things with them. But they're like using either like all that.
Some
Marvelous and traditional knowledge to incorporate.
So important.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we talk about that and the creations that they've had or we've had with them. And then at the end, we talk about our people and our recipes. So you will find different people have come and gone through the PRK at different times. Sometimes it's just a temporary position, sometimes it's a bit longer. So I think what is really nice is that from each person we have learned different things, and each person brings a different set of skills. So it has the introduction of some of us. So this book was finished last year. So since then there's been new changes as well. But pretty much it was trying to capture our history all throughout this year. So in the next, our Technology Access Center grant, it's a 5 years long grant or funding for us. So we're coming up to an end March next year. So this book reflects our first 5 years and a bit just before that. But then we will have to make new books every other year or something like that. It has been very successful. We really like it. Clients and new customers and new people who approach us have said this is a fantastic book, and I really like it as well.
Yeah, I mean, we're not necessarily clients or customers, but I feel like when Leanne was explaining to me about the Prairie Research Kitchen, I spent some time looking at the book, and it's a really clever book, and I could see it being useful every issue. Like, I think I need it in my cookbook library for sure. Can you tell us more about the section in the cookbook about Pulse Canada and Saskatchewan pulse growers?
So we have had different collaborations with them. In particular, like pretty much Pulse Canada, what they do is try to find applications for Canadian pulses and try to see how we can use Canadian pulses in our everyday life, but also not just for the experts market, but for the local market. Mm-hmm. So different projects. I think this one in particular was to try with red lentil from Saskatchewan and try to see how it got, like what we could apply it into, what can we use it for. Mm-hmm. And then we found out, or one of our experts found out, that it could be a very great coating for chicken tenders. Oh. So it's created into a batter, incorporated into a batter, and it's really nice. Every time we try this recipe, it's a winner. Yeah. Like it's a winning recipe. Pretty much people, and sometimes we try it with the regular traditional coatings, and then we put them side by side with the red lentil one, and it turns out that everybody prefers the red lentil one. Yeah. And even if we're not doing the study, originally at a certain point we did, and we compare them and so on, more like a sensory perspective, which is also something we do. We can do sensory trials and we can quantify texture, but we can also just have panelists trying it and giving their it's called a hedonic scale, but it's kind of like how much I like it or how much I don't like it based on different attributes and so on. So we did that, mm-hmm. but now it's just kind of like for fun to put the two together. Right. And it turns out that this coating is much more, it's a bit more orange, which it might not sound that great because I'm not explaining it correctly.
Well, it's a red lentil, right?
Yes. Yeah. So when you say it looks like more like as if it has more flavor to it. Like it's very appealing, mm-hmm. and it creates a very even coating. So it's really nice. And then it's crunchier. Uh-huh. And it does have a different flavor that complements very well with the chicken. So it's fantastic. Like I really like it.
Right,
so,
and higher protein, I'm sure,
yes,
too.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Higher protein, higher fiber. Like it's different, I think, different positive attributes from the sensory perspective, from the nutritional perspective, from the economy perspective, because it's our pulses, right? It's mm-hmm. Canadian pulses at their best. So yes, that's one of the projects.
Oh, that's really cool.
That's awesome. Yeah, I didn't think about that, so I'm excited to read some more. Maybe try it out on my kids, see if they'll get some more benefit.
Give them some more fiber. Yeah. I've had a red lentil beer before.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, it was by a local brewery in Saskatchewan. Speaking of Saskatchewan pulses, and they obviously do it to support their industry, but fermentation is something that always gets me really excited. And I noticed in this book, there's a lot of fermentation topics on like misos, tempeh is in there as well.
Yes, yeah. We also have tempeh here.
Tempeh, yes. Yeah. So you have to spend a lot of time making sure that's measured in the recipes. Is that something you can talk more about?
Yes. So for each recipe, it depends on what we want. Sometimes we don't do like all the ratings we do are more sensory. Like it's more like whether it's of liking of our team or the liking of the client or liking of the consumers. We can do also consumer testing, so we can do that. But some other times we also need to measure and be analytical about it. So we do put let's say we say, okay, this color is more orange or this color I like it, but sometimes we have to say, okay, what are the specific numbers attached to these colors? We go by the L star, A star, B star measurement for color. Sometimes if it's texture, we go by, okay, well, it's crunchy enough, it's not crunchy from the sensory perspective, but then we attach that to texture analyzer reading. So either hardness 1, hardness 2, or chewiness, or depending on what we need to get. So sometimes we say, okay, well, this is very dense, and in our mouth, or the mouthfeel is kind of like dry or dense. So then we correlate that back to either moisture, water, activity, or cooking laws, or to kind of like bread volume or bread density or different things. So depending on each project, we do the specific analytical measurements that need to be done.
Oh, yeah. I mean, measurements is how you standardize things, so it makes total sense.
Correct.
Yeah.
And it's sometimes very useful for clients who are hoping to either upscale these, or it's already a product that is in a line and they need quality parameters.
Okay.
That's so interesting. It's really good to see, or it's good to talk about the capabilities, some of the examples here. It's good to see the examples in this book, learn more about kind of the history and some of the projects that you've worked on. I think I'd like to touch a little bit on trends. Have you seen any, trends in the last little bit?
So something else we have access to is we have access to a new product database. And with that, we come to the realization, this is also available for clients. We do the analysis for them and we just give them the report. And it's with Innova new product database. So what we do, they also provide us with different trends throughout the year. So what we found is that it's interesting because I was looking at these trends and one of them is low in alcohol or no alcoholic beverages. And it was kind of like, it makes sense. But then at the same time, in the last year, we had at least 4 different clients who said, I want whichever product with low alcohol or non-alcoholic to be able to make the claims out of it. Right. So it's like, yes, I see the claims, but I see the trends in from an organization which is very good at that and knows about that. But then at the same time, I've seen it with our clients. So obviously there is also the protein, the kind of like pretty much the whole protein. Well, the Manitoba. The province of Manitoba is focused on the protein strategy, but then there is also a big trend out in the world about increasing protein and different sources of protein. So the trend, I think, has evolved over time, and now it's more based on health and how we can increase the consumption of protein without, damaging the environment, but with making sure that it is good for us as well, like protein that we can digest, protein that we can really eat and take the benefits out of it, or make sure that our body's taking the benefits out of that. So that's one of the trends. The other trend would be coffee and tea consumption. So this is interesting because newer generations are more leaned towards natural products and natural ingredients, and tea is becoming very, very common.
Yeah, I think we see that too.
Yeah, like it could be cold tea, it could be hot tea, but it's just different blends and different ideas of how to incorporate even tea lattes and things like that. It's kind of like back in the day, it wasn't that common to see, maybe like a London fog, and it wasn't even considered like a tea per se. So that. So as I mentioned, health has always been there, but in this case, it's more towards prevention. And I think that also became after the pandemic, more like a reality. People are more aware of saying, okay, I want to prevent things, but also I want to prevent the population is getting older throughout the world. Like we're increasing our life span. So kind of like, how do I age properly? Right. How do I become like an older person, but without having all the ailments of an older person, which I think we all are still looking for that key. Sure. But
that circles back to the people wanting to eat more natural and also preserving the environment. I mean, those all come hand in hand.
Right? Yeah. And then I think one other trend would be sugar reduction. So sugar reduction by either natural or artificial sweeteners, but mainly the natural ones are very common, right? Like nowadays. And there are some alternatives, and that's kind of like a tricky one because there are some alternatives developed in the States, but as per Canadian regulations, we cannot use those alternatives. So there is always trying to find ways around it and trying to find things that some clients come and say, I have this product in mind, they are doing the same in the States, I want to use similar ingredients. And we can't, right? So that's another one. And then 2 more. One is staple foods such as dairy and bread and meat. Try to look for more freshness into whichever alternatives or whichever products are out there. So it would be freshness, but also taste and cost. Those are the drivers for that.
Right. But sometimes you have to sacrifice one for the other.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
That makes sense.
That's that. And then finally, prepared meals, which opens up also a whole new world for companies that are traditionally on the shelves to try to move towards a food service industry or to ready-to-eat food at supermarkets. And we also have developed different recipes for clients that are more towards that. Like, say, I have this ingredient, and instead of making a product that is on the shelves, like shelf stable for 6 months or for 3 months or for a year, how about if we develop recipes for the grab-and-go areas in the supermarket? So, yes.
That's great. It does seem to align a lot with the trends that we see too. Like we've written some blogs about trends that we've seen at trade shows. Like going out and seeing what the industry is doing is always really important. Like the non-alcoholic trend, it's big. Prepared meals we talked about recently, like it's convenience.
Correct.
So it's health, it's convenience, and yeah, sometimes there's some other ones in there like higher protein or freshness or yeah, that's really great. Well, thank you so much for joining today. We really enjoyed learning about the Prairie Research Kitchen, your how you work together with the college, how you've put together this fantastic recipe book. I'm excited to look at it. We really encourage all our listeners to check out the recipe book online, read about the story of the kitchen, and really engage if you have any questions and about the capabilities and how Prairie Research Kitchen can help with you. So thank you so much.
Sounds great. Thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed this. Thank you.
Yeah, same here. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the SNI Podcast. To learn more about SNI and receive even more resources to help you reach your business goals, including information on regulatory compliance, clinical trials, and creative solutions for the natural health and food industries, follow us at source-nutraceutical-inc on LinkedIn. You can also visit our website at sourcenutra.com. Thanks again, and see you next time.